playing. He was one of these guys, right? He was like low elo, bronze 4, didn't know much about the game. He got coaching in the past. Everyone told him to play only one champion. And I actually saw that it was like he played only Caitlyn and then nothing happened, right? It was literally like this, the OPGG. So he was Ooga Booga Hardstack. Again, we're talking about bronze 4 player, got coaching before, everyone was telling him to play one champion. Guess what I told him? I told him forget everything what the coaches told you. If you play only one champion and you don't know the other abilities of the game or you don't know the cooldowns, and he told me, oh, besides, but I know the Blitzcrank cooldown, I know the Leona cooldown, like come on man, I know what these champions do, like Ashe, like are you kidding me? I don't need to play Ashe to know. And then I was like, okay, what is the cooldown of Blitzcrank Q? He didn't know how to tell me. He told me 10 seconds. Trash Q, he told me like 12 seconds. He told me that Ashe W is 5 seconds. So knowing that, I told him that it's 18 seconds the cooldown of the Ashe W. I told him that it's 20 seconds and 19 seconds Blitz and Trash Hook. And I told him, he was like, oh really? Maybe I should play these champions. Even if I know what they do at the fundamental level, maybe I should play this champion. And I told him that the people that he actually pays to get coached for, he fooled them. So this is literally the one thing I told him, other than the recall timings and the wave management, that completely moved him into Platinum 4. And this might not be, oh, you know, it's a big achievement. No, he got from Bronze 4 to Platinum 4. What's going on, guys? Besides here, in today's video, we're going to learn how to make a real champion pool just for your needs, how you can do it. Should you consider meta? Should you consider being well-rounded, have 3 champions, 5 champions? So let's take a look at this. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, you gotta subscribe to this channel because this is gonna help you to get better at League of Legends. So let's get right into it. What is a good champion pool? A good champion pool is usually a well-rounded 2-3 champions that you can pick in the majority of the cases, and you can always have a case, a champion for each individual case. But that's really idealistic, right? There are a lot of players that they actually don't play enough, and this is the reality. They play an hour, 2 hours per day, like 10 games per week, and telling them to play 3 champions at the same time, there are so many combos, so many small things that they might just not know. So this advice of playing 3 champions is usually bad unless you play, in my opinion, minimum 3 hours per day, 2.5 to 3 hours per day. Sure, you can go for 3 champions, but if you can't play, there are gonna be so many things that it can't just learn because you have to practice so much the champions. There are so many small combos that you might not know, and I'm going to show you right now what I mean about this, right? So this is Lucian, a pretty easy champion. So why do you need to play 3 champions if you can play 3 hours? So let's say you play an hour and you want to play 3 champions because, you know, it's cool. Well, that's fine. The problem is that you're not going to know a lot of things for Lucian. So for example, did you know that Lucian has a short dash and a long dash? So pro players use the long dash every time when they want to actually gain distance. So let's say they have 2 enemies and they just want to jump on one. They will use long dash and then just try to kite away from this target so they can actually gain distance. But the thing is, you also have short dash, which is, well, a short dash, right? You just have to get your cursor really close to your champion. So usually it works like this. And it's really, really fast, as you can see. This is just one thing on Lucian. Also, the Q, animation cancel. You can auto attack in Q like this, like a bronze player, or you can do like a grandmaster level auto attack and then animation cancel Q. Did you guys see that? Check this out. Did you guys see that? So how are you able to know these things if you play 3 champions and you don't have enough time to play the game? That's stupid, right? And that is just Lucian. Check this out on Caitlyn. Did you guys know that you can actually put a trap behind the tower so the enemies can't actually see it at all? Yeah, this is actually true. And I know that some of you will say, oh, but I know this, right? So this is how we put it. You do it behind of the tower like this, and they have to move their camera something like this to actually see it. Of course, on Caitlyn, there are also lots of combos that you can actually, for example, use your E and use your trap at the same time. Okay, so check this out, guys. E trap. Did you guys see that? As I E mid-air, I put the trap. So if you're like, oh, you know, so I play like 10 games per week, so how many gems should I play? Well, so ideally, if you don't have minimum 2.5 to 3 hours per day to play the game, I do recommend you to play 2 champions or 1 champion only. And I'm going to show you the disadvantages and the advantages of 2 and 1 champion only. Are you having trouble converting your early game advantages into wins? Feel like your damage output is lower than it should be and you feel like you're putting in the work but you're not seeing really the results? My name is Pizais, with a track record of coaching over 3,659 players with ranks between Iron and Challenger. Here is what I've accomplished with my clients. Right here you can see Silver 1 to Emerald 4 in 1 month time with 1 coaching session. This guy right here got to Grandmaster in NA after when the first coaching session we've done, he was hard stuck in Diamond 2. Alex right here, he was gold 4 1 year and a half ago, and he got to Grandmaster 800 LP peak after the coaching session. Here is his master account after just being a gold player a year and a half ago. This is what the coaching session can do to your gameplay. And here is something that you might find inspiring. I've personally climbed from iron to diamond with dealing with 200 ping. Now I'll actually get master tier with 200 ping on this account that you're gonna see right now. As you can see right here, this is Emerald 1 with very decent win rate on some of the champions, and I'm playing pretty well in high Emerald to low Diamond. And I actually play Ezreal as well, as you guys can see right here, and I'm not really scared. If I can achieve this against high Emerald players and low Diamonds playing with such a huge handicap, 200 ping Ezreal, imagine what we can accomplish together with you playing under optimal conditions. Are you ready to see the real progress that you can do? Go to besides.com and book your coaching session now. Let's improve and get better together. Again, those are the two champions that are very easy, right? I'm going to show you Kaisa right now. I'm going to show you things that you probably didn't know. So obviously there is the animation cancel that you actually might know, and I'm pretty sure you actually know this. A lot of people know it, that you can actually evolve your spells. You can actually evolve your spells by pressing B. So for example, if I press left click and I press B, as you guys can see, I cancel the animation, but I can actually do the same thing using my E. Do you guys see that? Using my E, I can do that. Again, if you're not playing enough, if you're playing so many champions, or if you're simply, oh coach, I know about this, but I can't do it. If you can't do it, but you know about it, this means you need to practice. This means maybe you're actually playing too many champions, and let alone the fact that the combos on Kaisa are very difficult to actually get. So if you want to be like really good, you actually have a lot of combos that you can do. So for example, here is like the RW. So you try to R and then you just try to W mid-air. So you R and W, but you do it so fast that they can't really react, right? So this is what pro players do. They R, W, Q, auto, and E out, right? So this is how you do the dynamic. Of course, the W flash that you probably know it. And I also want to show that there is animation, there is auto attack reset, right? Check this out. So you do auto attack right here. You guys can see my attack speed, but every time when I press R, it's an auto attack cancel. Like, did you guys see that? Look, auto, R, auto. You see how my fast goes right here? Auto, auto. You guys see that? Look, I auto attack normally, but if I just use my R, it actually gets auto attack reset. Again, you might not know this, and this is fine. Just if you play a lot of champions, this is gonna hold you back. You're gonna know, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? These things exist. Yeah. Did you watch guys on the internet about your champion? Did you play minimum 50 to 60 games that season on the champion? And again, I know you're gonna say, oh, but you know, I played like 10 years ago, Kaisa, I know what she does. And yeah, so if you didn't know some of these things that I'm gonna show you right now, this is an obvious, in my opinion, an obvious indicator that you're actually playing too many champions. So this thinking of, let me just take 3 champions is fine. If you have minimum 3 hours per day, you can do it. It's okay. But if you don't, it's just idealistic. And again, if you try to choose a 3 champion pool and you play enough, that's fine. Ideally, it's a well-rounded one, but, and there is a but here, a big but, this is very simple. 2 hours and a half or more, I recommend you 3 champions. If you do go for 2, that's fine. If you play below 2 hours and a half per day, I wouldn't recommend you more than 3. And then of course, if you play in a weekend, you play 12 hours or something. So there are many players that they don't play every day. So let's say a player that plays 3 hours per day will play, 21 hours per week. Okay, maybe you might not play every day, but if you have minimum 20 hours per week play League of Legends, I do recommend you 3 champions. And those 3 champions can be well-rounded or can just be around your strength. So for example, I usually pick 1 champion that I like. Let's say I like Vayne. I pick 1 champion that is meta. Let's say I like Ashe. And the 3rd champion is always a counter pick, like Xayah, for example. You can also go for like 1 preference and 2 meta. It's really your preference, but the trick here is always keeping 1 champion meta. So always every patch, like you have to have 1 champion that you actually, you know, it is in the meta and it's good. And 1 champion is basically your preference. And the 3rd is basically you can either go for a counter pick or you can go for another meta pick. This is how I make my champion pool, a 3 champion pool, because again, I can play minimum 3 hours solo queue in a day. So that's not a problem for me. Again, if you're not playing enough, don't play more than 2 champions. Play only 2 champions. And I know a lot of players say, oh, you know, of course, they all say play only 1 champion. And this is, playing 1 champion is having huge disadvantages. And I'm going to show you exactly why this is the case, okay? So some of you might know that I'm actually a coach, right? So I coached this guy. He's 36 years old. I'm gonna show you exactly his. This is his Discord. And this guy, when I first coached him, so he's still 36 years old. He didn't play many games before, you know. He's not like very familiar. He was bronze 4 when I first coached him, when he first booked the coaching session. And actually, I saw that he was actually playing. He was one of these guys, right? He was like low elo, bronze 4, didn't know much about the game. He got coaching in the past. Everyone told him to play only one champion. And I actually saw that it was like he played only Caitlyn. And then nothing happened, right? It was literally like this, the OPGG. So he was Ooga Booga Hardstack. Again, we're talking about bronze 4 player, got coaching before, everyone was telling him to play one champion. Guess what I told him? I told him, forget everything what the coaches told you. If you play only one champion and you don't know the other abilities of the game, or you don't know the cooldowns, and he told me, oh, besides, but I know the Blitzcrank cooldown, I know the Leona cooldown, like, come on, man, I know what these champions do, like Ashe, like, are you kidding me? I don't need to play Ashe to know. And then I was like, okay, what is the cooldown of Blitzcrank Q? He didn't know how to tell me. He told me 10 seconds. Trash Q, he told me like 12 seconds. He told me that Ashe W is 5 seconds. So knowing that, I told him that it's 18 seconds, the cooldown of the Ashe W. I told him that it's 20 seconds and 19 seconds Blitz and Trash Hook. And I told him, he was like, oh, really? Maybe I should play these champions. Even if I know what they do at the fundamental level, maybe I should play this champion. And I told him that the people that he actually pays to get coached for, he fooled them. So this is literally the one thing I told him, other than the recall timings and the wave management, that completely moved him into Platinum 4. And this might not be, oh, you know, it's a big achievement. No, he got from Bronze 4 to Platinum 4. He's 36, he's playing AD carry. And I told him, you need to change your pool. If you play only one champion, like the coaches told you that you need to play only one champion and it's good, that is a big disadvantage, because you're not going to know good abilities from the game cooldowns. You're not going to have a good game sense. If you want to be a good Caitlyn, I told him, hey, you struggle against Blitzcrank, you struggle against Leona, do it for me. Play 10 games of Leona and 10 games of Blitzcrank. Guess what? He did it. And as we can see, okay, he's playing too much ranked. I recommended him to make a new account and to actually play Leona on a new account and Blitzcrank on a new account, so he can play Caitlyn only on this account, but he can have a very well-rounded approach. What do I mean by well-rounded? I meant that if he wants to play 80% of the time Caitlyn, he needs to make a new account where he plays new AD carries and new supports every day, 1 game minimum. Of course, it depends on how much time he has as well, but per week, minimum 5 games on new AD carries and new supports. This is why he needs to feel the game from the other perspective. If he loses against Blitzcrank as Caitlyn, he wants to know how it is to play Blitzcrank against the Caitlyn. And he actually started to learn things, and this is his journey on the coaching session. So if you truly want to get better, this guy is just one individual example, but on my Discord, you guys can see a lot of people that got coaching and they improved so much. This guy, he got one coaching after one coaching from Emerald to Diamond in like 2 weeks. This guy, Platinum, we already talked about him. We have here people, so this guy was Silver 1 before the coaching, and this is how his gameplay looks like after the coaching. So if you haven't booked coaching session, you're absolutely missing it out. So you have to try it. It's really good. You're going to improve. You're going to climb. You are going to find your real mistakes. So if you truly want to, if you want to be better than the average player in your rank, if you want to find out your mistakes, guys, go ahead to besides.com, book your coaching session. You won't be disappointed. And yeah, be careful with when you play only one champion. Only one champion is good because you can invest a lot of time into that champion. But in a lot of cases, as you guys, I'm showing you right now, this guy is Bronze 4, he's playing from 2021, he's ultra giga hardstack. And you guys can't tell me that he doesn't play enough. Yesterday he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. And then, oh, but maybe he's not trying to improve. Even if he's not trying to improve, he has almost 2 million points on Katarina. Playing only one champion doesn't help him. And there are so many examples. You can see here Udyr 49% win it, one trick pony. This is a big scam. When people tell you play only one champion, but they don't tell you that you need to be well-rounded as well, to have a new account, to play different champions as well. And yes, you can play 80% of the champion, one champion, but 20% of the champion, 20% of the times you also have to play normal games, even against bots, to learn about the other abilities of the game. If you don't, you might feel hard stuck just because of that. So be very, very careful with the people that tell you, oh, play one champion, it's so good. You know, I hear all the time this advice, and people come to me at coaching and they're like, oh, I've been hard stuck. And I'm like, yeah, okay, just forget everything that you know about champion pool. Let's make a personalized champion pool. Let's make something for you. Let's see how you do it. And we're gonna make it together. So this is why people book coaching session, because they need the personalized help. A lot of people, they just follow guys on the internet and it just doesn't work. It's not personalized and it just doesn't work. So it's very simple. You can make a well-rounded champion pool, or you can make a champion pool around your strengths. If you don't play 3 hours plus, you shouldn't make a well-rounded pool. If you play less, then just get 2 champions, one that is meta and one that is not meta in your pool. It's really that simple, and just play only those 2 while also experimenting on other champions in normals. That's a rule of thumb, just because there are many players. They played even 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, and they still don't know a lot of abilities in the game. This is, by the way, my account in Emerald 1, 200 ping, 56% win rate, 200 ping. So yes, the game, and I'm also actually playing Ezreal as well, if you can believe it. Yes, I'm actually handicapping myself so much to prove to the people that I can do it. You know, wave management, recall timings, Emerald players, Diamond 4 players, they are easily beatable just with fundamentals. I can play with 10,000 ping and I can still beat them. I can still be better than them. I can be 0-5 in the laning phase, still have better macro, still actually just put more pressure. These games, for example, I was 0-6, it was 0-5 as well. Guess what? Enemy Jhin was 1 level down against a 0-6 Ashe. Why? It's because I had better macro. I anyways just did a lot more than him. And then he just couldn't do shit. So this is the rule of thumb, guys. And you have to remember this. Be careful with champion one trick pony. And if you have the time, then get 3 champions. The type of champion pools that I really recommend are the following champions. So right here, you guys can see it types other types. So 70, 15, 15. This is actually my champion pool. 70% of the time I play Ashe, and then 15% of the time I play Jhin usually, and 15% of the time I play my counter pick, which is Xayah. That's kind of like, or Ezreal actually, not Xayah in this meta. Or you can put a 50, 25, 25, which is a 50% of the times you play only one champion, 25% of the times you play the other champion, and 25% of the champion you play the other champion. For 2 champion pool, let's say you have Caitlyn 80% of the times, and then 20% of the times you have some Miss Ferton, Ashe, whatever, you know. It is good to actually have a blind pick in the pool, but it's not necessarily like a must, because there are so many AD carries that in low elo they can be blind pick Caitlyn, Miss Ferton, Jhin, Ashe, Jinx, Kaisa, Lucian, Caitlyn. They're all gonna be fine blind pick again in low elo, master tier below. Above master tier is a different story. You can blind pick a lot of the champions that I said about, but no, in low elo, which you probably in low elo, I would suppose Emerald or Gold or whatever. Yeah, one more thing is about the meta, always have 1 champion in the meta, okay? 1 champion, that's a rule of thumb. The other don't really matter, but the other should, again, the others should be preference, but 1 champion should be always meta. And the third thing, and the last thing is actually super important. Above master tier, what I said doesn't apply. Above master tier, meta is a lot more important. If we're just gonna see EOVS, ladder, and we're just gonna do just a bit of research, we can take 2 AD carries. We can take Flackhead here, I think this guy is, and we can actually take the Kaliste, 17 years old challenger. And we're gonna see, what we're gonna find out is that, so this guy mains Kaisa, Zeri, and guess what? This guy also means Zeri. He also plays lots of Kaisa. So if you're gonna do your research, you're gonna see that most of the high elo pro players, they play kind of the same champs. Very same champions, because the meta is extremely important in high elo. You can also do it in low elo, playing for the meta, but it's not really necessarily a must. So this is basically my champion pool guide. Guys, let me know if you guys have any questions. Please hit the comments below. This video is gonna go on Patreon first, so the people that are on Patreon, they get like 1, 2, 3 weeks before the YouTube people are actually getting. So premium content there on Patreon, early access plus tier lists that are not on YouTube and are only on Patreon. So check out the Patreon if you didn't already. And if you want a personalized champion pool, you can also get it on Patreon, but you can also book coaching session to get it. Guys, thank you so much for watching and hope you enjoyed this video. Bye bye.